Hello and welcome to Coffee with Dr. Carla. I'm Dr. Carla. Lisa's here with me today, and today we're going to talk about some mental health related issues and hopefully start to end the stigma surrounding them. And so today we're going to talk about cancer, and more specifically the cancer that you had to deal with and how that all played out. So why don't you share with everybody, I get the honor of talking to you on a regular basis, but share with other people how you found out you had cancer and what that was all like.
Okay. So when it came to discovering the cancer, it started with me realizing one day, just as I was about to take a shower, that I noticed something in my body that was completely off, that as soon as I saw it, it was abnormal. I did not think it was something that was natural. Even when I asked my parents about it, they told me, "Oh, it's probably just nothing serious." And they probably assumed it might have been something along those lines because they never expected it to be something like cancer.
Yeah.
So I went to go to the doctor to get it examined, and after doing numerous tests, seeing numerous doctors, they told me that it was stage 1 testicular cancer. And when they told me that, I actually did some research about what the issue was, and I saw that pop up as a possibility. So when he told me that, it didn't hit me as hard.
So you already had a few ideas. You went to Dr. Google before you went to your real doctor.
Yeah,
Gotcha.
I did. I know it's not recommended, but
hey.
I was just checking to see what possibilities were out there.
Yeah, you find something weird and you're like, okay, what is this? You can't get caught down a rabbit hole with Dr. Google, but it does help to get some sense of what's what. So okay, so you finally now are hearing that this is what you have, and so while no one wants to hear that they have cancer, you at least had a little bit of research done that you weren't completely surprised that it was that.
Yeah.
Okay.
The difficult part was passing the message down to my family. The first person I told, my brother and his wife, and when I went to go tell them, 1 second I went from being normal as the way I was talking to my doctor to just suddenly breaking down as soon as I started passing the message to them.
Yeah, it's a lot to take in.
Yeah, and that was my fear. It wasn't just me breaking down, it was more so passing the message to others and knowing what their reactions are going to be. And because the doctor told me it was stage 1S, I looked into it and it said it was like a 99% chance of survival. So I wanted to tell my family that it was cancer, but a very easy to treat one, because I didn't want them to think that I was going to go through the process of what someone would expect a cancer patient would be like. I didn't want them to think I would have to go through multiple rounds of chemotherapy, having to go through multiple doctor visits, having to go through so much. Because, like I said, the doctor told me I caught it early. It was going to need maybe a surgery and a round of chemotherapy or two, but I definitely felt a sense of stigma of not wanting to pass the message over to others, because I didn't want them to think that as soon as they hear cancer, they're going to think I'm going to go through all the testing and all the rigmarole that comes along with it.
And let's be real, even though science has progressed so that more and more people who do end up with cancer survive, it's a pretty real possibility that when you hear the word cancer that perhaps you're not going to survive. And so, I understand, it's almost like you wanted to lead with, hey, did you know there's a 99% chance of survival for this thing that I have? Oh yeah, it's cancer, right?
Yeah, pretty much.
How can you backtrack that one, right?
Yeah.
So you mentioned stigma, so there's this fear about how others are going to receive the message. I guess I wonder, were you worried that dealing with your family's reactions was going to be harder than actually dealing with the cancer itself?
Yeah, pretty much. Like I said, when I did the research and a doctor told me all that stuff about the likelihood of surviving, it put me at ease knowing that there was going to be a very, very good chance that everything would go fine. But when it came to spreading the message, that was the difficult part. Like we mentioned earlier, people would just automatically hear the word cancer and just automatically freak out and assume the worst.
Right.
And because of that, I stayed quiet about it while I was going through the process. I told my parents, if you want, there's people in the family you want to talk to about it, go ahead and tell them. Just let them know it's not a serious cancer. And even when they were told, they were like outpouring all the support, which I appreciate, still do to this day. I just didn't want them to think that it was a very serious cancer. And it's hard carrying around that, having to go through that, because looking back at it now, I can technically say I'm a cancer survivor, but it's hard to like call myself that because I had it so much easier than so many others.
Right.
So, but when people heard if I had cancer, they would assume, oh, he's going to lose his hair, oh, he's going to go through so much testing, he's going to have a hard time in general. I didn't want them to see me looking normal as if like nothing happened. I didn't want them to think, oh, is he trying to seek attention or something like that? All because I had it easy. I didn't want them to assume something along those lines.
Right. And it's hard when we can't compare ourselves because, cancer is cancer no matter what the situation is. Though you did mention that it was hard to carry this stuff around. And so you made a choice to perhaps be a little bit more quiet, maybe let your parents share it with the extended family. What other kinds of things did you do in order to take care of yourself, to take care of your mental health?
I mean, the first thing I really did was take time off of work while I dealt with all that, because I was going to require surgery almost immediately when I was told that. And even then, I gave myself an extra month to go through the chemotherapy and just have time to be with my family with it all, because I knew, even though I knew it wasn't be an easy one, I know people like my mom and my dad specifically, because they knew their son had cancer, they weren't going to take it well. And as much as they wanted to hide it from me, I knew behind my back they didn't want to stress me out with how worried they were.
Yeah.
So I was able to spend time with them for a while, do more stuff with them than I usually do. And to the other family members who I knew closely with, like one of my cousins who I grew up with, when he heard the news, we did some stuff together also, just so, even though we lived far apart from each other, it seemed like a good time to
You made the time to get together.
Yeah. So there's one positive thing about throughout that whole experience is seeing how supportive the people that I knew were throughout the whole situation. As much as I knew that we had a good relationship, just seeing them come out and support me during that whole ordeal definitely meant a lot to me.
So maybe there's somebody in our audience that is going through something similar. Maybe it's cancer, maybe it's some other diagnosis, maybe it's some other thing that's happening in their life that seems really big, maybe because it is really big. What advice do you have for them in regards to reaching out to other people?
Honestly, you'd be surprised at how many people are going to reach out, give you support, and just show you the love that you're going to need when you go through that whole ordeal, because as much as you think you know how many people are going to be supporting you, there's going to be a lot more than you'd realize.
Sure.
So that's always something to be aware of. Just know that there's always going to be people out there that are going to be supportive of you no matter what you go through. Even if it's people you don't expect, like work colleagues, family members you don't talk to, there's going to be someone out there that's going to want to do everything you can to support you. Whether it's from far away by sending you good luck messages or just being there in person with you. Just know that someone's going to be out there to support you.
Yeah. And, I want to point out one thing that you did as well that I think would help with, having to share difficult news like this. You told those closest to you, in this case it was your parents, and you asked them, hey, if you want to share it with other people, you can, so that all the burden of sharing didn't land on you. And so, that's also a good thing for people to remember. If you got to share some difficult news, maybe you help spread the load out by sharing it with one or two close people, and then ask them to help you spread the news so you can get that support that Louise has been talking about. So remember, you can change your thoughts, discover your potential, and transform your life by focusing on your overall well-being. So until next time, continue working on being the best you possible. Bye.